Today, we'll spend some time building faces, investigate science and sport, and discover a mysterious form of energy. That's hot science.
Hi, thanks for joining us.
Welcome to Hot Science. Hey, have you ever thought it would be possible to burn a steel pin like this?
I don't think so.
Well, let's give it a go. I've got the pin. Here's some tweezers to hold it with.
Okay.
And if you hold that in our candle flame, we'll see if it burns.
Oh no, it's just going black.
Now, you'd think that the steel pin would have to get really, really hot for it to melt and burn. But if we could separate the particles in that steel pin, like we have with this steel wool, we might be able to burn this.
Oh,
because
okay.
to burn, something needs oxygen, it needs fuel, and it needs heat. And by having the smaller particles, more oxygen and heat can get there and it should burn.
Right, okay.
Well, let's give that a go. If you
Can
hold
I
on to the
try?
steel wool, tongs, so you don't burn yourself.
Whoops.
Got it.
There we go.
And we hold that in the flame.
Oh, look at that.
So that's much better.
Burns really quickly.
We can take that a step further because here I have some iron filings and you can see that they're very, very fine particles of...
So that's the
metal.
finest part of a nail?
Well, if we ground the nail up, we'd get something like this, and we could hold that in the candle flame and see if that is able to burn. So
Okay.
there's some in this steel can. If you hold that up over the candle and we drop the lights in the studio, we'll see what sort of effect we get. Here they come.
Oh, look, it looks like little sparklers.
It's really beautiful. Our own little fireworks show.
Energy in motion.
I'm not feeling very energetic today. Neither is this machine by the look of things. Hey, wake up, machine.
Hello, Ooze. How are
I
you?
see. Oh, I'm a little bit tired, actually.
Oh, are you? Let me help you wake up. I'll give you a tickle.
Oh, that's great. Now I'm awake.
Good. Hey, wouldn't it be good if we could design a machine called a perpetual energy machine?
Yeah.
One of those machines wouldn't need any extra energy. It would have enough to make it work and you wouldn't have to put any more energy in. Because these days, most machines, they need energy. All machines need energy to make them work. And they all need more energy than they actually produce.
Oh.
But a perpetual energy machine would have the energy already there. Look, I've got a model one here.
Right.
This is one that somebody designed and it had a magnet up here and it used a steel ball and 2 ramps.
Oh.
Okay, and the idea was the steel ball rolled down the ramp like this, down through the hole there and fell onto the fell onto the track. Whoa. And then from the track, it was attracted up the ramp towards the magnet.
Right.
And as it came up and up the ramp towards the magnet, it would actually fall through this hole and roll back down the ramp.
Oh, wow.
So the idea was the machine would keep going with the ball going around and around and around without anybody having to push it or requiring any more energy. But it didn't work.
Oh, why not?
Because if the magnet was strong enough to bring the steel ball up to here, actually the steel ball would go like that and be attracted to the magnet and not roll down the hill at all.
Oh,
So nobody's actually been able to make a perpetual energy machine.
Wow, is it that hard, is it?
It really is. And one of the reasons is that energy is lost. Energy is never created or destroyed, but it can be lost, it is lost to the environment as things like heat and sound. They're 2 types of energy. And I can show you with this little model called a Newton's cradle. If I pull one of these balls back like this, and I let it go like this, it had energy and it transferred the energy through the balls to the other ball, and that flew out, and then it came back and transferred its energy to the balls as well. But you see, eventually it slowed down.
How come?
Because you heard it going click, 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 click. Yes, so it was losing energy as sound, and also every time one of these balls hit another one, it lost some energy as heat. So all the energy eventually gets lost to the environment. But energy does get recycled over and over and over again.
Oh, really? Recyclable energy!
A light bulb in an electric lamp wastes 95% of the energy it consumes through producing heat.
How do you think I look? Do I look sick? I'm not flushed and I don't think I've got a temperature, but let's just find out using this liquid crystal thermometer. Now, the way this works is that there are different squares and some light should come up on it to tell me what my temperature is. I'll just place this on my forehead like this and leave it for a few seconds. Now, the liquid crystal thermometer works exactly the same way as a conventional thermometer. That is that it tells you what your temperature is. But the liquid crystal thermometer is used on babies or sick people, and it's easier to put it on their forehead than it is to put it in their mouth. Now let's just see how I'm going. Do I have a normal temperature? Have a look here. You can see, yep, there it is. My colour is the blue bit there, and that tells I've got a normal temperature. Now, if it was any of these other squares down here, I'd be in trouble, but thankfully I'm okay. Now, the way that the liquid crystal thermometer works is that liquid crystals have exactly the same molecular structure as normal crystals, which means the molecules are lined up together. But what's good about the liquid crystal thermometer is that the molecules are able to flow like liquid. So what happens is that light is able to go through them. When heat hits the liquid crystals, they separate, light's able to come through, and you can tell different colours. Now, I have got a piece of liquid crystal here. We have to cover it up because the studio lights do have a bit of heat. I'll just put my hand underneath it, take away this card, and there you go, you can see the heat of my hand. Now, I'll just increase that a little bit. Wow, now the blue bits are where my hand is the hottest, and you can see it gets less and less and less. But there are also a lot of natural thermometers in nature, like the crocus plant. Now, the crocus plant opens and closes with the rise and fall in temperature, and it's so sensitive that it'll react to a changing temperature of just 0.5 degrees centigrade. But the most common form of natural thermometer is our very own bodies. Like when we get cold, we shiver and get goosebumps, and when we get hot, we go flushed and go red.
Next, a natural form of energy.
Have you ever seen one of these before? It's a prosthesis, or an artificial limb, and it's used by people who have lost one of their limbs so they can get around more easily. We have our own prosthesist in with us, John Tiss. How are you, John?
Hi, Robin.
Now, how do you make one of these?
Well, first thing we need to do is to take a plaster cast of the stump. That gives us the model to then make this soft inner liner.
What's the stump? It's the part of the leg that's remaining?
That's the remaining part of the leg, as you say. And we make the socket from the model that we've taken off the plaster cast, and then we need to put this back on the cast and make the outer casing, which is a rigid plastic. That enables us to then attach a knee joint onto the rigid socket. This knee joint here, I'll just show you how it bends.
Oh.
Now, this is a very high technology knee unit in that it has a hydraulic cylinder which gives a very high energy return. So you can walk at any speed you like. That's attached to a nylon pylon with a cosmetic foot.
Right. And how does it actually operate?
Well, it might be easiest if I show you mine.
Oh, okay.
Just removing the cosmetic cover so you can see.
And what that protects, what's underneath?
That protects the knee joint and keeps it clean and dust free.
Now you can, right, and it works the same way as a leg?
Yes, you can see the knees moving very similar to a normal knee, and this is quite easy for me to do, just as it is for anyone to walk. Now, I'll just turn around and bend.
You can bend the knee,
I can
right?
bend the knee, so I can kneel down and perform tasks at floor level. Stand up like that.
And what about your ankle?
Well, the ankle simulates movement, and as I put the weight through the leg, you can see the ankle moving a little bit there.
And how does it do that? Is there a pump or something in there?
It's a carbon fibre which is like a leaf spring that compresses as you put the weight through.
And you can go back as well?
Goes in the other direction as well.
Right.
You see it simulating the movement of an ankle joint.
Yeah. Now, can you play sport?
Well, in my lifetime, I've played many sports, including table tennis, go-karting, and a lot of water skiing.
And is that the same for any person with a prosthesis?
Most everyone can do all the sports that most people play.
And we can see a junior amputee here training actually for the Amputee Olympics. Right. Now, what's the technology with these? Are they improving?
I think they're improving on a yearly basis, and I think the young amputees have got a lot to look forward to, and that new prosthetic componentry is coming online every year.
Right, excellent. Well, John, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, Robin.
The human body is a wondrous thing. You can move it around and do anything. You have bones and muscles and veins and skin, blood, a heart and everything. Look after your body. You can hurt yourself too, so be very careful because your body is you.
Ha! The human body is amazing, isn't it? Hey, just like the algae body. Hey, do you believe in unusual powers? I don't just mean magic, but unusual powers. Like when you're walking down the street and a big gust of wind comes and touches you on the arm and you jump. Yeah. Hey, well, here's a machine that uses unusual power just like that. Take a look at this. Whoa, I can see things that are spinning there. Spinning round. Can you guess what it is yet? Oh, look at that. Here it comes, a little more. Yeah, it's a wind turbine. Hey, yeah, you guessed it, didn't you? Wind turbines are great, aren't they? Hey, they convert the energy from the wind and turn it into rotational motion of the blades. This wind turbine is 30 metres tall and has 3 blades with a diameter of 27 metres. Hey, other typical designs are 60 metres tall and have blades diameter of 45 metres. Hey, wind turbines are really great because they cut down the carbon dioxide emission by 300 tonnes a year. Whoa, wind power!
Enzymes.
Enzymes. That's a great word, isn't it? Enzymes. Aren't they things in our bodies?
Sure, our body's full of them, and so are all animals and plants. There are millions and millions of different sorts of enzymes. Each has its own name, but enzymes are nature's biological machines.
Can we see them?
Well, they're very, very, very tiny. They're only molecules, but what they do is they break down things that we eat, and they also help to build up the proteins and the different materials that living things are made of. Can't actually see them, but our tears contain enzymes. One of them's called lysozyme, and the job of lysozyme is actually to break down bacteria and stop infections in our eyes.
Oh, clean our eyes.
Yeah.
What about, say, in our mouths, like saliva?
Sure, your saliva's full of enzymes too, and the enzymes in saliva start the first stages in digestion when we eat something.
Well, there you go. But enzymes are in other things too, aren't they?
Yep, they're in all living animals and plants, anything like that.
Like this apple?
Ah, sure. We can actually see enzymes at work with an apple. Like, oh, hang on. Looks like Ooze has been eating this. The reason apples go brown is that there are enzymes in the cells of an apple, and when you break an apple, you chew it or you cut into it, you actually cut some of those cells, and the enzymes are exposed on top then, and they can react with the oxygen and make the apple go brown.
Oh, now can we stop that from happening?
Sure. What you can do to stop an apple going brown is to actually sprinkle vitamin C on it.
Can we do it?
Yeah, sure.
Grab an apple here.
Oh, you're gonna use...
take Oozes
that one
away.
back to
Yuck. Just cut it in half.
Yep. And it doesn't take long for the apple to start going brown. But I've got some vitamin C tablets here, and I've ground some of them up into a fine powder there. And if you'd like to just put some vitamin C on one half of the apple.
Well, oh, okay.
And that will stop the enzymes on top reacting with the oxygen. What the vitamin C actually does is reacts with the enzymes first so that they can't react with the oxygen.
Oh, okay. So if do I spread it out like this?
You need to cover the whole of the apple, the cut surface.
We'll get an orange apple.
And it will stop the enzymes reacting.
Does anything else work other than, say, vitamin C?
Well, there are other ways to stop enzymes reacting. One would be to actually put the apple, say, in a container of water, and then, although the enzymes are still there, they can't actually react with the oxygen because the apple's in water.
Oh, okay. Well, is that enough?
Well, it actually takes about an hour or so for the apple to go brown, but I have got an apple set up here. It's already cut, and you can see this one didn't have any vitamin C on it.
Right.
So it's gone brown, but this one here has got the vitamin C on. Would you like to just scrape the vitamin C off and we'll see what's underneath?
Okay.
Oh, she took some
Scraping
of the apple as
apple.
Ah, see, it's quite white underneath.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's a little bit orange from the vitamin C, but it's not nearly as brown as
the other apple.
And the vitamin C's all gooey.
We can also see enzymes in action with the experiment I've set up over here. What we've got is some soap powder, because some soap powders you can get these days actually have enzymes in them, and they're called biological powders, biological soap powders.
What do they do?
Well, they help to digest and break down the dirt in clothing and materials. So here we have some soap powder that doesn't have enzyme in it.
Right.
And here we have some soap powder that does have enzyme in it. And what we're going to do is put some spoonfuls of each powder into these beakers.
Can I do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And then we'll see the enzymes at work on some eggs. I can smell.
Couple of spoons?
Yeah, that's heaps, yep.
And this is the biological one, is it?
Yeah.
This spilling it everywhere.
Okay, I'll clean that up. Okay, so once you've got the powders there, we need to add some water. So fill those up, Rob.
Okay.
And I'll just slide this over there. Yep, fill that one up.
No, dribbling it everywhere. I'm not the cleanest person.
And then stir them up. Stir them up. And when they're pretty well dissolved, you drop in.
Oh, this is glaggy. Okay.
Okay, they're bubbling nicely. So you drop in an egg and you leave them there now to do the job. It takes about 6 hours. So over here, I've got some eggs set up that have been going for about 6 hours.
Oh, that's what that smell was.
This container here is the one with normal soap powder, and this has biological, well, this is biological soap powder with the enzymes.
Can I get the eggs
out?
out?
Have a look, and let's see what the eggs look like.
Oh, yuck. Oh, actually, that one's okay.
Nearly lost it off the plate.
See, it's a normal egg. What about this one?
A bit slimy though. Ah, yep, you can see that the enzymes have really been working hard on that egg.
Well, there you go. Well, that's something for you to try. Maybe you could put an egg in biological powder and see how long it takes to break down.
That's a great idea.
Next, police identikit. This is a Victorian police station, and it's also the home of 1,000 faces. Inside is the headquarters of Australia's Criminal Identification Squad.
The Criminal Identification Squad's main job is to see victims and witnesses of crimes. They then come in and see us and try and make up a face that is similar to the person they have seen. This is done by us seeing the victims and witnesses, having them come in and sit down beside us, and then try and choose a hairstyle, a chin shape, a set of eyes, a nose and a mouth from different databases within the computer. This system helps the members of the police force by looking at the similarities that we create of offenders and suspects to then go out and solve the crimes they've committed.
Putting together a detailed description of someone's face is like doing a jigsaw puzzle. First you have to choose a set of eyes. Just look at how many of those are on file at the Criminal Identification Squad. This is an Australian program designed out of necessity. The squad could use an identikit or photo kit program from overseas, perhaps from Britain or the United States. But Australia is made up of so many different nationalities that our facial features are different to those of other countries. See how the face is taking shape? Next, the witness chooses the right hairstyle, right down to the colour and length. Again, there are a lot to choose from. The Australian Criminal Identification System is so advanced, it's now being sold to other countries. Doesn't the face look different when we add the hair? And sometimes the description might include facial hair, like a moustache or beard. And of course, glasses make a difference. The witness has to remember whether the suspect was wearing them, and if so, what type. Once all the pieces of the puzzle are in place, the criminal identification artist blends or changes the skin tone and then makes any final adjustments until the witness is happy.
Like that sort of thing. And then at the end of all that, hopefully your witness will say, that's very much like the person they saw. See if you can identify this person.
The picture that's being built now is of someone famous. I'll give you a clue. It's someone from the field of science. Watch as his face comes together and see if you can guess.
this was the end result.
Hey, Sue, did you guess that was Albert Einstein?
It was a really good likeness, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, Ooze, have you heard of a sweet spot?
I'm pretty sweet, aren't I,
No,
Sue?
no, the sort of sweet spot you find on tennis rackets and cricket bats and other sporting tools.
Oh, right, yeah.
Well, if you can find a sweet spot on your racket, then you'll be able to play good sport and get good shots.
Wow.
And something like this tennis racket has actually got 3 main sweet spots, and I'm going to show you where they are.
Okay.
The first one I want to talk about is right in the middle of the racket, and that is called the minimum force sweet spot, because when you hit a ball, the tendency is for the racket to go back and twist and try and come out of your hands.
Yeah.
But those twisting forces are less when you hit right in the middle.
Right.
Okay. The one I've marked with the red is called the vibration sweet spot.
Right.
And when you hit a ball there, you don't get those stinging vibrations
Oh,
that you get in
yeah,
your hands
hurt your
sometimes.
hand,
You know the ones?
yeah.
Yep. Well, to find that vibration sweet spot, what you do is you hold your racket upside down and hold it very, very gently just with 2 fingers.
Okay.
And then you tap with the ball on different parts of the racket, just lightly.
Yep.
And you'll feel in your fingers some vibrations. And when you hit in that vibration sweet spot, you won't feel any vibrations at all. So the idea then is to put a mark there, so next time you're playing you can use that spot.
Right.
And the other sweet spot is called the power sweet spot, or maximum power sweet spot. And when you hit there, you're going to do the most powerful shot. To find that, you drop the ball on the racket, and try and find out where it bounces the highest.
there
round
it
about
is.
there.
Yeah.
Mark that, use that when you want to do powerful shots, and you'll do a good shot.
And that'll improve your tennis game.
Sure will.
A tennis ball spends only about 4 1,000ths of a second in contact with the racket.
Hey, it's quiz time. Who can give me an example of an enzyme in action?
An enzyme. Oh, when you cut an apple and it starts to go brown.
Hey, that's a good one.
Hey, I've got one. Name a natural form of power.
Wind power.
Yeah, that's right, like the turbines we saw.
Weren't they huge?
Yeah.
And turbines are a really good way of harnessing energy.
Yeah.
If you want an investigation, why don't you try making your own perpetual motion machine and see how you go?
Hey, that's a good idea, isn't it? Like the one we had earlier.
Anyway, we have to go. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
Catch you later.
Bye.